Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the Spilled Milk Podcast. I'm Austin.
I'm Puurich.
And I'm Kendall.
We're just a couple of friends who went out on a whim to make a fun little podcast, and we hope you enjoy listening. Aight, we good?
All right, peace.
Peace.
We're done.
We're done. Cut it.
End of episode 1.
All right, hope you guys really enjoyed listening. I mean, it's a good 30 seconds. Please leave a good review on these first good review on these first 30 seconds. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Follow us on Instagram.
Yeah, we're gonna turn into those people. Follow us here, follow us there, follow us
Just
here.
plug
follow us there.
everywhere.
All right.
That's
What are your relationship or dating icks? What gives you the ick?
Oh, really?
Like red flags?
Dating icks?
Yeah, or when you start, say you are on a dating app and you meet somebody and you start texting and what are some icks? What do they say? Things about themselves that you're just immediately like, nope, never mind, back out. Like an example would be people who you're like talking to them and the first message, they're just like one word responses. Like, hey, what's up?
Oh.
What are you doing? Like that's an ick. That's a kind of a subtle one, or a basic one, but
I definitely think one of my icks is like the quick responses, because over text it's so hard to read whether or not they're either just one, not interested, or two, they're just like busy or something like that. It's like, hey, you want to get together this Saturday? If they say I don't know, like it's not worth it. That ick. That is an ick right there.
And on the opposite side of that, too, I think it's annoying if you don't respond for a while and then they keep texting you and keep sending you messages.
Yeah. I definitely was that guy, like, sophomore year.
Really?
I had a couple crushes on some chicks, and they wouldn't respond to me for a couple of hours, like 3 or 4 hours, and I'm like, bruh, like, why not? Like, just please answer me.
Yeah.
They wouldn't, and so then I would send another text, and then they wouldn't respond for, like, 2 days, and then I'd see them at school a couple days later, and then it's just, like, weird, and...
I feel like that second text always comes off so aggressive, especially if it's in the same day.
It comes off like pick me for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Huge pick me. I'm a pick me girl.
Have you ever dated someone or gone on a date with someone who was pick me?
No. I feel like my like relationship compass definitely steers away from pick me girls.
I feel like my ex was kind of a pick me.
You think so?
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. I can't like name specific instances, but like the mannerisms was like a little bit pick me.
What do you think's your ick that you give people?
That I don't shut up. I
That's
talk
a good-
so
that's a
much.
good one.
I talk so much. The first thing my current girlfriend's parents both said to her, obviously it wasn't like to me, but they were like, he's a talker. That's for sure. He's a talker. But that's definitely what people would say about me.
What do you think mine is?
Ooh. I feel like you are a little emotionally unavailable sometimes. You're not
Really?
super like touchy-feely with your emotions.
Oh, okay. I could see that.
I kind of agree. I think
I
you're a
could see
little
that.
like...
I feel bad. Was that mean?
No.
I feel like you're like you well, like if something bothers you or like frustrates you, you have to be around a certain like comfort level with the people to like verbalize it.
Yeah, true. 100%.
For sure. What do you think yours is, Kendall?
Well, I was going to ask you guys what you think, but after playing Who's Most Likely to last night and losing bad, I don't think I want to know. I don't know. Honestly, I think it could be a couple of things. Maybe I can definitely be very overly sensitive and overreact about things at times.
Yeah.
I'm a little tiny bit jealous.
Oh,
I'm a little
Yeah.
bit.
Well,
I think I'm a little bit clingy. A little bit.
I mean, on a scale from 1 to 10, because I think if you're anything above a 3 clingy, then you can call it clingy. But like,
Then I'm clingy.
I think everybody's to a degree
Sure.
is clingy.
Especially in relationships. If you're dating someone
Yeah,
that
that
you
is true.
truly love and want to be with, I mean, I'm totally like, yes, I will see you every single day.
For lack
Yeah.
of better terms, you cling to seeing them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you look forward to it.
I think it's weird in relationships if you're really, really okay with not seeing them for a long time.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
one of our friends, Emily herself is so independent that she's super okay with being not necessarily alone, but doing what she needs to do as Emily, not Emily plus someone else. And I think that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I just think she's her, not in a bad way by any means, but like in her relationship spectrum, she's more on the side of like, I want to be Emily frequently, which is good, and that's kind of just part of her personality.
Yeah. I think that's super important in every relationship, though,
Yeah.
to have that, maintain that independence, because I think it's super easy to become codependent on one another.
Like, I think it's I think it's unhealthy to spend 24/7 with your significant other and be everywhere and live together or whatever. But like, I don't know. I feel like those couples that don't live together already, who are always together, it's not good for that relationship.
Yep.
In my third person eyes.
Why?
I don't know. It's just it does seem like you're codependent on each other, and without the other person, then you just break down and you can't live life on your own.
That's fair.
I think it's also the fact, too, in that kind of situation, you're not making time for the other relationships in your life. And I think whether your thing is family or friends or whatever, those are really important and valuable relationships to have in your life, in addition to the person you're with romantically.
That's funny you say that. Because now that for my job, I used to work in an office, and I became actually really good friends with a couple of guys that sat around me that were around my age. And then when I got my promotion, now I work fully remote, and the only times I really leave my apartment is during the week, maybe to see my family, maybe have dinner, or like go to the store, and kind of excluding weekends, because anyone can kind of do whatever on a weekend. But when it came to doing a long distance relationship in my current one, like I had to find a lot of things, especially recently, that made me happy to do, but also like to get out, because working alone or fully remote, if you're not like travel remote, like, it becomes very secluding. And that was big for me, as it took me, I mean, for the majority of like December and parts of January, like I didn't really do very much during the week or on the weekends, just because I just wanted to hang out. But when I just chill alone every day by myself for like 2 straight months, being a very extroverted person, it definitely takes a chip off part of my like almost like mental strength, because then it's like, then I go out and I love hanging out with people. So
yeah, I feel like as someone who just recently got out of a relationship, it was wild how much time I felt like I suddenly had to devote to other things in my life, and not even just other relationships like I was saying earlier, but your passions too. It's important to have hobbies and to take time to work on your own projects or things that make you happy on your own.
Like music for you.
Yeah. Definitely. Like I was saying, I told you guys, I used to be super big into songwriting, and I hadn't written a full song in probably like 2 years. And then after my breakup, I think I was just also feeling so many emotions, but I like wrote the first full song, and it felt so good. I was so satisfied and fulfilled from that. And I think those things are just really important for everybody to have.
I agree.
It gets easy to lose those things. But as we were talking about earlier, now that we've like identified some of our potential icks about ourselves, like how would you feel like for you, Austin, like you said that you're chatty, like how would you feel being with someone who's super chatty? Like, do you really think that's like a bad thing?
Well, I've thought about this a lot, and I've actually talked to my parents about it, especially in the beginning of my current relationship, because they were almost not doubtful or worried, but they brought up vocally, like, you know that she's very quiet. And I'm like, yeah, I know she's very quiet. She's not like that with me, though. And they go, well, think about when you go out and do things with people. Do you think she can carry a conversation and integrate into friend groups, or maybe you have a work event in the future, like long term? Do you think that she could do this or that? And it's like, well, yeah. But then that sparked thought to where it was like, if I had somebody that was as chatty as me, I feel like we'd be constantly battling to have our voice heard. If we went out in a friend group and they're super chatty just like me, and they're trying to get to know my friends, or I'm trying to get to know their friends, then it'd almost be like we both would dominate every conversation all the time, and then we'd end up battling each other for power over the conversation. And I'm glad that I'm not like in a committed relationship, or haven't been with somebody who's as not shut uppy as me. For sure.
And I think that's why they say opposites attract in a relationship. Because it's like good to have like things in common so that you can do things together and not just be complete opposite people and don't have anything in common to do with them.
Well, then let me ask you then, Puurich, because you're not quiet necessarily,
Sure,
but you're not super chatty.
I'm like shy unless I'm comfortable with a certain person or a group of people.
But like, take Kendall's question, and I ask that then to you is like, what's your, almost a different question, but like, what's your too chatty versus not chatty enough? Like, how would you feel in those certain types of relationships?
I mean, I think I would probably look for someone like in the middle-ish. I mean, like, I'm a quiet guy, but I also don't want to just listen the whole time. You know, like I would get annoyed if someone was just talking the whole time, not letting me talk. But I would also not like to be silent with, like, on a date or something.
Yeah. Have nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's like an interesting thing about you, though, because I think you're just one of those people, you do listen and observe in social settings a lot. But I think when you say something, it is either like really funny or a really valuable point to add to a conversation.
Yeah.
Well, then I piggyback the question to you, because I know you're very socially and bubbly in your last relationship. It wasn't like he wasn't socially and bubbly, but he was kind of like my current relationship, to where he was
He was
quieter.
The loud one.
Yeah. How would you feel if somebody was as bubbly as you were?
I think the same thing with you, because I think in certain situations I am like sometimes overly chatty, but I do kind of agree with the opposites attract, but to a certain extent. I do think what's the saying, like birds of a feather flock together, the opposite. I think something like that. I think that can also be kind of true. I do think when you date someone who's very different from you, you learn the most from those kind of people.
100%.
They like encourage you to try new things and expand your horizons and see things in a different perspective. And like, I think in our case, Austin, when we're talking about being the loud one in something, it's like, I think I learned a lot about, I think I became a better listener by being with somebody who was quieter, because it's like what they have to say is important. But like sometimes you just have to be the person to really give them their platform and make it clear, like, no, you can say things too. Like, yeah.
Or like if something that I tried to do and still try to like frequently do now is, if me and her are together and we're kind of in a multiple person conversation, 3, 4, 5 something people, is almost like physically turn my body kind of like towards her in like the way of like, you can talk now.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not like allowing her to talk, but it's like, hey, here,
right.
Like, I'll shut up for a second.
This applies to you. I know you think XYZ about this topic, and then that definitely
for sure
shuts me up and lets her talk more frequently.
I was just gonna say, to your point, I think that is a good thing, though, in whatever way you do it. Like, for me, I was always kind of just like very directly like, I don't know, what do you think, but I think that's really important, and I think that's another pro to dating someone who's different from you. You like almost gain, not, I don't know if empathy is the right word, but you're just more conscious of like people operate in social settings or any kind of setting differently, and I think it just makes people feel really seen when you put in the effort to like bring them into something that maybe isn't always their in their element.
I see what you're saying.
But also, like, on the other side of that, it's like, as a person who is a shy person, it's kind of frustrating when someone just turns at you and then
what do you think?
The whole group
tell me what you think, Puurich.
Yeah, like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
it gets kind of overwhelming. Not for me personally, but like I know people who definitely get scared of that in like a social setting.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I consider myself a generally outgoing person. Like I don't have a hard time talking to new people, or if I, like in the past when I'd meet my ex's friends, like it wasn't hard for me to get along with them and stuff. But I think like there's always going to be a time and place where someone's uncomfortable, and I think that's completely overwhelming when everyone turns to you and you're not ready to give your input on something.
Yeah, 100%.
I had another question I was going to ask, like, because you know how, And I think people say this not just about relationships, but life as well, just that you learn something from every experience. Do you guys agree with that? Like, do you think that every relationship or every person you've dated, had a fling with, like, did you learn something from being with them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, I could probably tell you, like, throughout high school, I probably had 4-ish, maybe 5 girlfriends during high school. And, like, freshman year for me was all acclimating to high school and, like, maybe figuring out a relationship, have a couple of crushes. But, like, sophomore year, I dated a girl, and thinking about it, she's kind of a pick-me girl a little bit. And, like, she was the person to where it's her way or the highway type of thing, like, reflecting back on it. And one of my really good friends at the time was like, man, I know her. I don't recommend it. Like, just trust me. And I didn't trust him, and I just kind of ran with it. And then I ended up breaking up with her just because I felt that this weird, clingy pick me. It's my way. Like, I don't want to necessarily do what you want to do type of thing. So then that taught me, like, to be totally okay with doing what they want to do, but understanding, like, a balance in a relationship 100%. Was the first step. And then another big one for me was my senior year. And my senior year, I dated a girl, and we ended up not having a fling a couple years later, but we hung out a little bit later. But we dated and did a bunch of stuff, had a bunch of fun together. But then it turned into almost like I had to be a sponge for her problems. And I love that. I think it's great. I think to a certain degree, you most definitely need to learn how to do that. But when it comes, it was like filling up a sponge that had zero room for extra water. It was or like a suitcase that you keep trying to stuff clothes into that you haven't been able to close for 3 days because you have that many clothes. And then it just became overwhelming. And that taught me that. And then later, when we kind of hung out, I almost got played to where, and that's a whole story. But that's when I really learned, like, if they don't give you a time of day, Austin, just back up. You're going to be happier that you don't waste another minute of your time on this, because it's pointless. It's pointless to just sit here and wonder and wait for the text and blah, blah, blah. Just, if they're into you, it'll work. If they're into you, they're going to text you back. If they're into you, they're going to find time. They're going to find time to hang out with you, you know? So, like, those are the 3 lessons that I learned from dating that have definitely, like, set me up for success in my current long-term relationship.
100%.
I think, like, just to comment on that, I think one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten in terms of a relationship is, if they wanted to, they would. And that sounds so simple and cliche. Yeah. But, like,
it's so
I feel
true.
like you see that in so many relationships. It's people talking about things that could have happened or almost happened, or they're saying are going to happen. But if that person wanted it to happen, it would have been done a long time ago. Were you ever in a relationship or, like, flirt with somebody? And either of you can answer this, because this is a super general question, but, like, were you ever in, like, talking to someone and they were the person, like, where you were like, hey, let's go hang out on Saturday, and they're like, yeah, sweet, and then Friday night they'd cancel on you? Could, like, consistently cancel, and then they'd Snapchat you when at 1:30, but you were supposed to meet at 1, and they're laying on their bed alone?
I've had, like, occasions of that happening, but not, like, consistently.
Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, I get it. I'm an understanding person. They're tired. They're busy. Whatever. But, like, if it happens consistently, that's when I know it's, like, a red flag, and I need to get the fuck out of there.
True.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't think there's anyone I can think of from my past where that was a really big, consistent thing. But I do think I had something like that where it wasn't in terms of spending time together, but it was in terms of, like, something happening. Sometimes it was planned. Sometimes it was something they were going to do. Like, yeah.
What about you? Have you ever had anyone who bailed on you consistently?
No, because I'm sexy and people want to be around me. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
I think maybe here and there, but I couldn't tell you like one specific person that I had been in a relationship with that was like that. The only reason I ask is a couple of my friends in college were like that. And even now, I mean, with my family, we have some family friends that's like, he or she is trying to consistently hang out with the same person, and it's been like 2 or 3 years. They always cancel, or they only do it if it's convenient for them. Hey, what are you doing Saturday? Oh, nothing. Hey, you want to hang out? Oh no, I might have a thing. Like consistently.
Right.
And I know I have a couple family friends that are like that. And me, I just like listen to it and like watch it, and I'm like, just run.
Yeah.
Red flags.
It's not worth it. You've literally wasted 2 years of your life going absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
Just run.
It's also like really frustrating when you're like, I've had this happen once to me where it's like you're planning a big thing months in advance, and you're trying to make plans, and you're trying to clear your significant other's plans, and then they say they're good, and then they bail on you last second. So then, like, it's really frustrating. It was fine. It was a great trip, and like in the end, I had a whole lot of fun. But like, if you say you're gonna go somewhere with me months in advance, best believe you should go with me.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I know the exact
100%.
thing, and I'm with you there.
It's
100%.
really frustrating.
Yeah, something like that happened to me too. The first guy I ever had a real kind of long-term thing with. Like, we weren't exclusive, we didn't have a label on things, but we were like, we were together, and everyone around knew it, you know?
Yeah.
But basically, like, this man, he was a straight up pathological liar. I've never seen anything like it. Like, lied about every little thing, like down to the last detail, like when he met certain people, where he was born, where he lived, like everything. But I was on and off with this guy for like 2 years, and this was, keep in mind, this was his idea. I never would have asked this of him considering where our relationship was, but he said that he would come to my house on Christmas to meet my family for the first time. And I was so excited. And like, I think it was like Christmas Eve where he Snapchatted me and was just like, yeah, I don't know about tomorrow. Like, I don't know if it's going to work out. And like, he just stopped being responsive. And I was just trying to like figure out, like, you know, like we're planning everything tomorrow around you, you know? And then he bailed on me Christmas, probably like afternoon too. Like, he didn't even, it wasn't like he let me know first thing in the morning. It was like at his convenience. And I think he could have been lying to me about this too, but I think he literally just went like skiing or something. And things like that. Like, that's so awful. Like, how can you do that to a person? And I think that's like why I asked my question earlier about like if you always truly learn something. And I think from that particular relationship, I did learn a lot of different things, but there are also moments where it's like, I don't feel like I'm learning anything from you. You're just wasting my time.
Yeah, 100%.
And that is it. And like, all I'm learning from you is that I just can't trust you. And it's just, I don't know.
I would almost argue though, from hearing that story, like you did learn something, and it is it's your boiling over point to where you learn.
That's fair.
So I'm a huge believer in like everything that has happened and happening currently in your life, it will be applicable later. I agree. I cannot tell you when.
I agree.
It could be, you could do something today and you use it tomorrow, or something like that, to where a couple of years ago you're in a relationship, and then now you know, not necessarily for a certain point in time, but like moving forward past that, like what your boiling point, like I said.
Yeah.
And then you know what to look for and what not to look for, and like even just like not like a romantic relationship or like just a friendship in general. Yeah.
What just annoys you about a person?
Yeah.
Totally. I feel like that is probably the biggest thing that you learn from each relationship is what you never want to have again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, you kind of answered your own question.
Yeah.
You do learn any something. You never know.
What are the most attractive qualities? What are your green lights?
Besides curly brown hair, I something that I really like is I like someone who can be both sides of the spectrum when it comes to doing things. My current relationship, she loves going out and doing stuff, going to hockey games. She's become a big fan of football this past year, and I'm still trying to sway her to the correct football team, right? But obviously the Dallas Cowboys. It's the Dallas Cowboys. That's the correct answer. That's the correct answer. But like on the spectrum of going out and doing stuff, and because there's nothing better than going out and having dinner and going to a hockey game or going out and doing something together, especially because you know you're going to spend money. Sometimes you have to spend money to go do fun things.
Yeah.
But then there's other times on the other side to where, hey, you just want to watch some TV tonight?
Yeah.
And at 2:30 in the afternoon,
Yeah.
and you watch 4.5 movies straight. Next thing you know, it's 11:30 at night.
Yeah.
And you're both like dozing off. That's what I really like is because that's how I am. It's very I like to do both sides.
I love that too. What about you, Puurich?
Well, like the first thing I look for in a girl is just like simply a kind person. Like I can usually see it like right when I meet someone. Like it doesn't like a man, a woman. Like when I meet someone, I can tell through like their voice, their heart, their eyes, how kind of a person they are and what kind of person they are. And that's like the first thing I look for. But I mean, other than that, I'm pretty open. Yeah.
I'll never understand those people who can still consider someone a good person even when they witness them treat other people like shit.
100%.
They're just like, they never did anything to me though.
Yeah.
But like, do you trust that person?
Yeah.
Do you really trust that they'll never do something like that
exactly.
to you? You watch them do it to everyone around you.
Imagine they do it. They act perfect when they're with you.
Right.
And then you hear all of these other things and then you struggle. You're like, no, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I've never seen them be mean to the people. And then something like triggers them and then it happens and then it like floods in.
That's why it's like good to like listen to your friends sometimes because like your friends are your third person perspective type of people. Like they see things that you don't.
And you never will.
Right. Exactly. So it's good to listen to them and what they have to say about you and your relationship or whatever. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. What about you, Kendall?
I guess this is more so a quality of a person. But I think something I learned from my last relationship, I think my absolute favorite thing about him was how patient he was. Whether that was with me or just with other people, because I think I'm someone who can tend to get frustrated or upset with people somewhat easily at times. And to be with someone who really... I think he really just taught me to take people as they are and not how I want them to be, you know? Meeting people where they're at. But, like, there were times where I know I was incredibly difficult to be around. And he was just, like, patient. He never raised his voice. He never... He just sat there and, like, listened to me, like, say things. And then it's just like, all right, you good now? Like, I love that. I appreciate that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're
good. I think one of the coolest attributes anybody can have is being patient. Like there's nothing cooler than meeting the most patient person you've ever been around. I think that's so cool.
And
like,
it takes... I'm so sorry.
No, I was done. I was just mumbling.
I was just gonna say, like, it takes a lot for a person to be that way too. It is not easy to be patient in any situation, whether that's like something like waiting in a line or just like dealing with a difficult person. But like people who can take that, like you are very resilient mentally.
Yeah, I totally agree there for sure. I think patience is not only a virtue, but it's one of those things to where if you want to be successful in a relationship, but also even individually,
in life in general,
if you can be patient, you will be successful.
100%
for sure.
To go back to your point, Puurich, about listening to your friends and stuff, have you ever found in your experience that there have been times where your friends or family were seeing things that weren't actually there or were wrong about something?
Not in like my relationships, but I have been the friend that has been the third eye, seeing how like a relationship is not healthy. And I've given advice. It's like love makes you blind, you know, and like it's hard for them, especially after a long-term relationship, for them to let go of something that they think they have like a blurred vision of like what it actually is.
Yeah, I think that's especially common at our age. I mean, we're all in our early 20s, you know, and I think some people start the dating game really young, but I think most of us here, like, we didn't have our first really serious relationship until like we were around like 19, 20. And I think at that age as well, it is so easy to get those like rose tinted glasses because it's your first time being in love, feeling so much all at once.
100%.
I think it takes like an emotional maturity. Like it's almost like there's an age where you mentally understand to a greater degree like love. When you look back at like your parents, obviously when you're like 13, obviously you know your parents love you, but like if you asked me when I was 13, like tell me what love means from a familial aspect, I would give you two completely different answers from today and when I was 12, 13. And I think that kind of goes to relationships, because the honeymoon phase, I would say realistically, up until you're probably in college-ish, is all lovey-dovey, way longer in high school. Yeah. Because people actually really, really care about what you look like. People care about what other people think that I look like, and you're so inward and outward. But then something that college really does for me, and I know a lot of other people, is shift your mentality to not necessarily caring what people think, but also you learn a lot about yourself. And I think that's just like the maturity that hits after a certain amount of time to understanding love, and like what it could be, or what's the difference. Like, man, I really like this chick, and like I love this woman, you know, or I love this man, or something.
That's so interesting that you say that, actually, because like thinking about it now, I think I look back to how I was when I was in high school and stuff, and the way I crushed on people. It was so like, it was just infatuation. I was just like, oh my God. Like, and I would obsess over these people that I really didn't know. Yeah. And I don't feel that way about people now that I've actually been in a relationship and gotten to experience the good parts and bad parts of somebody that you really love. Like, it's so different now. Like, I don't feel like I feel infatuation like that anymore. And I don't think that I ever will again.
Oh yeah. I feel like when you find that first crush, like when you have your first crush, like you remember, like, I really like her. Yeah.
Like you don't give a fuck how smart they are or how nice of a person they are. If they look good in your eyes, I want them. You know what I'm
saying? Nothing is gonna change my mind. I'm going for it. If they say no, I'm gonna still daydream about it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I had no self-respect in high school. I feel like the guys that I crushed on when I was young, they could have slapped me in the freaking face, and I would have been like, "You're so cute." Like,
I think that's the funniest joke when people talk about celebrities, and they're like, "He could punch me in the face."
I'd be honored,
and I would love it. That's literally how it is. Like pre-15-year-old relationship.
Yeah.
Like, she could say I'm breaking up with you in a note, and I will still love her tomorrow.
Yeah. Who was your celebrity crush when you were a kid like that? Who did you feel that way about?
Ooh.
I think mine was Daphne from the Scooby-Doo movie.
What? Wait, like the live action ones, or like the cartoon ones?
The live action ones.
Cartoon.
Like the cartoon Daphne.
Whoa, Puurich. He's getting a little. Really?
Yeah. I was like in love with her. I think
fair.
It was like her hair or something about her.
I've never seen a Scooby-Doo movie. Oops.
There's two.
Who's yours? Who's yours?
Mine was definitely Shawn Mendes.
I
remember
you talking about Shawn Mendes.
I was a Luke and Callum girl.
Really?
Yes.
I can see
Callum is still my celeb crush. Luke is getting married, and 15-year-old me is screaming violently.
That's fair.
But he's marrying an Asian girl, so I'm super stoked.
Oh, so you're saying there's a chance?
No, there's not. He's getting married, but there could have been one, and that makes me feel good.
What about you, Austin?
I've been trying to think. That's why I'm glad that you were. I tried to like divert it to Kendall. I figured it out, and I'm thinking like people that I would see a lot on TV, right? Carrie Underwood.
Oh, really?
And here's why. So in like the 2010, after I was like 10 ish, that like era of my life to like high school, I watched a lot of football, and I remember multiple times sitting there with my dad or my sister or something, and we're watching the Cowboys, and whenever the Cowboys being like one of the more popular teams in the NFL, they frequently get those primetime Sunday night, Monday night games.
Yep.
But they would have the Carrie Underwood jingle
Ooh.
within Sunday Night Football on NBC. I saw that, and like being a tween and 13-year-old, 14-year-old, it's just like, dang, that is a woman right there. Like, she is gorgeous, and I don't know what it is about her. I think I just had a big crush on her, and then my eyes just turned to people at my school. But
yeah. Honestly, though, that's fair. She's hot.
She is hot.
And that's a wrap. Thank you all so much for listening to the very first episode of the Spilled Milk Podcast. Stay tuned for our episode coming out next week. Bye.
Peace.
Pew pew.